Hi, this is Hank reporting from Kyiv, and this is my update on Russian-Ukrainian war. Let's see what happened around Ukraine in the last 24 hours. Foreign help for Russian military. Leto missing Russia. FPV with optic fiber. French Mirage jets for Ukraine. Diversity U. Summary of Russian losses in Ukraine. Taras Chmut, director of a large charity foundation, come back alive and one of the most important figures in this war. He is in charge of large-scale military equipment supplies, is involved in developing new military technologies, and is the founder of the news site. This man has a lot of relevant information and deeply understands this war from the inside. I like studying his interviews. He often gives valuable information, and I don't remember him ever being overly optimistic and exaggerating our achievements, and he often describes the strong sides of Russian army. When such a person discusses a problem, it's important to listen to him. I attached this tweet. Mr. Chmut says that the following: North Korea can become a serious player in our war. In addition to 70% of external supplies of ammunition, there may still be a large mobilization resource here. A one-time strengthening of some section on front by 10,000 trained military personnel against the background of a total crisis in the armed forces may lead to breakthrough on the front with access to operational space. As it happens, we saw it perfectly in the Kharkiv region in 2022. End quote. What do I understand from this message? First, North Korea's possible participation in this war on the Russian side is a real threat to us. De facto, Kim is already participating in the war by supplying millions of artillery shells and ballistic missiles to Putin. Few countries in the world can find a common language with North Korea right now. Even the South Korea struggles to cooperate. Second, things are bad enough for the Russians if, on the scale of a country of 100 or 140 million of people, they cannot find a suitable number of people who will be better than North Koreans for the said theoretical breakthrough. In continuation of this news, I want to add the following and tie them together. This is a real advertising poster of the Alabuga Center, which builds Shahed drones in Kazan. This is the Republic of Tatarstan in Russia. As you can understand from the picture, they offer young African girls something like work and travel with a small nuance. You need to go to Russia to assemble drones that kill people. Of course, this is not written on the cover, but Alabuga produces exactly these products. I have a question. For what reason do Russians spend resources to find unskilled African girls, conduct a selection, organize everything from a flight to Africa to cold Russia, give them housing and money, conduct some training for work? They promise the indicated $580 plus all other expenses. Long story short, they don't pay that much. Plus, they do not know the language. According to the article in Associated Press, about 200 people are currently undergoing this program. Why can't Russians find enough people? Isn't it much easier to find 200 female students in Siberia than Africa? I will not retell the long AP's text, but in the context of the previous news, these two events seem to me to be a good indicator of our enemy's problems. Under this video, I will leave a link to the AP article. There are many details about this case. It's a long read, actually. In short, it all looks pretty disgusting and far from bright perspectives for these girls. Autumn is here. For people with psychological problems, the time has come when their psyche fails. I don't know if this is connected with Leto, but he suddenly decided that he really missed Russia. This happened at a concert in Belgrade.
I know we got people from all over the world over here, and I just thought I felt a little Russian energy out there today. We missed you guys, you know that? I'll tell you what, one day, when all these problems are finished, we're gonna come visit you in your homeland, you know? We're gonna come back to Serbia, we're gonna go up to St. Petersburg, over to Moscow. We're gonna drop down to Kyiv, we're gonna party and hang out with everybody, okay?
Let me remind you that before this, Leto had wrapped himself in the Ukrainian flag many times and everyone was happy to see his support. I understand that it's naive to demand any deep analysis or thoughts from a person who just sings songs. When Russians buy tickets to his concerts, he loves Russians. When Ukrainians do it, he loves Ukrainians. No illusions, no opposition, no backbone. But What pisses me off is that he calls the terrible war these problems with this gesture and thinks that he can go have fun in Moscow, St. Petersburg, and then stop by in Kyiv and everyone will be happy to see him. A person lives in an illusory world. Imagine someone giving a concert in Paris in the spring of 1944 and telling the Parisians how he wants to go to have fun in Berlin when all these problems end. This is a good example of how celebrities are generally overrated, but I understand that in peacetime they were some kind of leaders, and when the era of wars began they look at least ridiculous. Kanye praising Hitler, Charlie Chaplin's granddaughter tired of everyone scolding the Russians, A$AP Rocky posting photos of tanks folded into the shape of the Z letter. These are all people of not very great intelligence, in my opinion. You know how they say, if you like a painting, don't meet the artist. At the same time, the Imagine Dragons made a music video Crushed, and thus raised the money to build a house for a boy who lost his home during a war. This is a real help to a real person and deserves respect. The Minister of Foreign Affairs of Ukraine responded to Leto's remark with the following message. Jared Leto's feeling the Russian energy and his wish to perform in Russia is an insult to those sacrificing lives to defend freedom. There can be no appeasement for Russia when it continues its attempts to solve the problem of Ukraine's very existence. I doubt that now a 52-year-old child will be allowed to come and have fun in Kyiv, and in the meantime Twitter is bombarding him with reproaches and Leto closed comments in his Instagram profile. Good job, Jay. Sergei Flash, a communications and electronic warfare specialist, showed a video taken by a Russian FPV drone controlled through a fiber optic connection attacking our tank while avoiding the electronic warfare equipment installed on the accompanying pickup truck. You can clearly see those antennas on the roof. In simple terms, the Russians have attached a huge spool of wire up to 10 kilometers or more than 6 miles long to the drone, which unwinds and flies away, ignoring radio interference, just like regular drones and missiles. It's very bad news that we are seeing more and more of these cases. It's not mass production yet, but they are becoming more common. The problem is that these wire drones can only be shot down with a shotgun pellets or a rifle shot, which is quite difficult. I believe that now we will start thinking about how to equip our heavy equipment with mechanical protection against drones other than gratings. War is always a technology race, and I want to believe that we have a technological advantage together with the countries that support us. Speaking of technologies, I would like to draw attention to the statement of French Minister of Defense, Monsieur Le Cornu. France is committed to supplying Ukraine with 12 to 20 Mirage 2000 combat aircraft with the new types of air-to-ground missiles early next year. I have already seen many discussions about the aircraft that Ukraine could potentially receive, and there is such a huge field for assumptions. At the moment, we have a certain number of F-16s, that's a fact, they are used in combat. Why do we need 24 aircraft worth about $65 million each if F-16s cost from 13 to 80 million? I can assume that for France this is a public image, this is advertising, these are potential orders from abroad. What I see today is that all countries are looking for the best option for themselves to earn bonus points in this war. HIMARS and ATACMS successfully destroy the enemy and orders for them are immediately coming in. I doubt that Lockheed Martin management is upset that they are receiving multi-million-dollar contracts for the supply of their products. These are not the thoughts of a military expert. This is my assumption based on a huge amount of information read plus some insights from private sources. In any case, the fact that we are receiving some equipment is good. Yes, we are now testing ground and advertising campaign for weapons, but we have no other choice, unfortunately. I want to show this video with former Ukrainian soldier Igor Krupnov, who survived a double leg amputation. This story was filmed with the help of the project Diversity U, which tells stories about how people survive severe injuries and continue to live life in full. There are English subtitles, watch if you're interested, the link will be below. We are going through a period of society adaptation to the fact that there are many injured people around, and we should not get used to the fact that this difference should not divide us and especially should not make them feel like outcasts. A person who lost a limb in a war is a hero who sacrificed his health. I often photograph competitions in which military personnel with various injuries take part. Here you see how they play sitting basketball in wheelchairs. Honestly, when I went to the shoot, I did not expect that it would be so cool. They are very dynamic and really fight for the ball. These guys then went to Wounded Warrior competition in Las Vegas, and it's a shame I couldn't fly with them and shoot the competition. And this is one of my favorite shots in my sports photography portfolio. A participant of the Invictus Games with a double high leg amputation competes in a bench press. I like looking at this photo, it's almost perfect in its structure. The light highlights his focused face from the darkness and all parts of his body fit very harmoniously into the composition. I love this shot. We joked that I was so inspired by this shoot and told everyone how cool these guys are because I ran after them for 5 days with a camera. My nerves pinched from the strain and I could not walk for several days, so to speak, I maximally immersed in the material. The Russians lost another 1,260 soldiers in the past day, and the total number of losses has exceeded 670,000 soldiers since the invasion began. Deputy head of the OSCE, Natalia Kostenko, reported that according to their statistical research, they found out that Russia loses 1 soldier for every 2.5 meters of Ukrainian land that they occupied. Interesting, let me also count. In Mariupol, the Russians burned down 2 of my apartments with a total area of 99 square meters or 325 square feet. That is, in order to evict me from my house, the Russians gave the lives of 39.6 soldiers. Now let's calculate that for each killed soldier they pay his family 50 million rubles, which is roughly $150,000 US. 39.6 multiplied by 150,000, in total it turns out that just my 2 apartments in Mariupol cost the Russians about $6 million, not counting the ammunition, training, salaries, etc. How do you like this arithmetic? What else happened? Briefly, for the first time in a long time, the Russians did not launch Shaheds into Ukraine for a whole day. This is the answer to my assumption that the destruction of Shahed warehouses in the south could affect their future attacks. Several days have passed and we see the result. Today in Odessa, the seaport was attacked again with ballistic missiles. 1 worker was killed and 8 were injured. In Kyiv, there was a demonstration of families of prisoners of war. We already gather like for a family dinner on Sundays. It's a little sad, but this is how it is. Misfortune united us and now everyone in this community already has mutual friends. Ukrainians continue to live despite everything. There are checks going at public events all over the country, where police and recruitment officers check men's documents and detain those who haven't registered. I'll explain briefly. We're all required to register so that the army knows how many people it has in reserve. Those who meet the requirements for service are sent to training and then to a unit that requires soldiers. I saw that somewhere they allegedly detained teenagers for document checks, but I could not find any more information, only a video from someone's phone with no details. The front lines. Russians try to break through our lines in Kursk region with moderate success. The same goes to the southeast of Ukraine. I didn't see any significant changes, the front just keeps crawling forward. That's the news I can tell you at the beginning of the week. This channel has crossed the 500 subscriber mark and I thank you for your interest in my work. If you want to support me, support this channel, all the links to buy me a coffee and PayPal are below this video. Thank you everyone who is staying with Ukraine in these difficult times. Take care and I hope to see you tomorrow. I always say I hope to see you tomorrow because I'm really not sure that tomorrow will come with all these missile attacks and we're living here one day at a time.